Welcome back, Commanders, to another video, and today we're going to be doing the Versatile Officers tier list, and honestly, there's quite a few of them, but it isn't as many as I thought. So we're going to jump straight in with pretty much, I thought we'd get it over and done with, guys. We all know where he's going to go, and it is Wings of Wanderlust. S tier, I obviously haven't had the pleasure of using him, but I've seen many people with him, and basically, he's just one of the best officers on the game right now for things like light tank and infantry, especially if you pair them with some very overpowered tanking officers. But overall, guys, I think he's not the best officer in the entire game, obviously not, but for the fact that he's versatile, he works on multiple different units, he's pretty decent. And a lot of people are still saying he won't work on a Howie. You know, again, I've not been able to test it, but just reading the actual skills, I genuinely believe he would still be decent on a Howie, you know, even if you're pairing it up with someone just to deal all that extra damage. But I might be wrong. I would love to see one of the big boys do all these testings, you know. It'd be so cool to have a really big wow just do loads of testing for me on things I think could work. But, you know, I just don't have the ability to do that. Moving on, unfortunately, guys, if you are new to the game, apparently these two officers are no longer available. You're not able to get them. I don't know if it's true, but apparently I've been told say you make a new account right now and you go to try and unlock these officers, it just tells you you need to be part of the event. Obviously, the event's been and gone. Apparently, there's no way of getting a hold of them. But don't worry, guys, you're not missing out on anything. They're honestly just B-tier officers. I don't think they're that amazing. I literally just read through all the skills on them before I started this video. They have some okay skills, but as an officer as a whole, there's better officers. They're not that good. There is quite a few officers I would rather have instead of these guys. I feel like for the, 720 statues, they're just not worth it. Sure, you could take a couple of skills here and there, but overall, as an officer as a whole, I personally don't think they're very worth it. So, moving on to Tip of the Spear. Tip of the Spear is also going to go in B for me. I feel like, early game, he's very good. He's a decent officer. If you think about it, he doesn't have a tactical skill. He just increases a load of damage. He's kind of like Winds of Wanderlust, but a free version and, half as good. So we're going to put him halfway down the list. I think, he buffs his brother, which is an Air Force unit. So, I mean, he's just one of those officers that he's nice to have early game. But once you, get onto even the middle of the game, there's much better officers available. So he's going to sit in B tier for me. Again, he has some decent skills you can drag over. But overall, I don't think he's worth anything higher than a B. Moving on, guys, we have Lady Justice. Lady Justice can sit comfortably in A. She's a very good officer, especially if you're running multiple tanking units. I generally thought she was a tank main to start with, but she's not. She is versatile. She will work on a lot of different things, including, for example, an ATG. Again, there's better options. I'm not trying to say that that's where you're going to want to put her, but as versatile goes, I mean, with all versatile officers, you could put them on any units, but some work better on some units than others. So with that being said, she's very decent on, say, like a light tank with the fact she can slow people down, and then she'll be able to keep up with them. She offers a decent amount of damage. I think it's 1500 coefficient. So overall, guys, she is a pretty decent officer. But with the fact that we're getting new officers coming out that are stronger and stronger each time, slowly but surely, we're going to see her kind of become less used. But as of right now, she's decent. Personally would advise maybe not going for her because you have new officers if you're new to the game. But she's a decent officer. She offers some decent skills. Moving on, we have got Eagle. And this isn't like every officer in the game. It's going to be one of those hard ones. But I am going to put him in S tier. As it goes for just versatile officer, the fact he's free to play, he is one of the best officers on the game for that fact, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, any new officers coming out now are going to be better than him, most likely. But as of right now, he is still one of the best officers. He offers a load of damage. He offers protection. He offers base protection as well. He offers just normal attack damage. He offers, similar to like the Sundered Armor, where you can remove some of their damage resist. Like, he offers a full package. And he works on many different units, okay? Especially the tank units. He works on ATGs, very well on ATGs. Like, overall, guys, as a versatile officer, and the fact he's free to play as well, he is a very good officer. But with all these officers on the list, guys, the facts are going to remain that slowly but surely, no matter what I put people here, they're slowly going to be moving down over time because new officers coming out are going to be so much better. Next up, guys, we have Death Adder, and honestly, he's basically a C tier. He's okay-ish early game, and when I say early game, I mean if you're making a new account right now, you still wouldn't get him. By that fact, I'm going to have to put him in decent. To be fair, all of these I think need to go down a bit. Like, they're just not that good of officers. You wouldn't unlock them, if I'm honest with you. They're just not worth it at this stage in the game, because as of right now, you're not going to want to unlock an officer that's just average. You're going to want to save up those statues and work on something that's really good. Death Adder just doesn't really provide that much at all. His coefficient's low. Like, everything about him, unfortunately, just isn't that good. Up next, guys, is Brisk Eagle. Now, Brisk Eagle can sit comfortably in B tier for a versatile plane unit. She works on both bombers and fighters, but honestly, the fact that she's mostly to do with crit strike, you wouldn't really do crit strike on bombers. It just doesn't really work. You're going to want to mainly focus having her on a fighter if you do, but again, when it comes to fighter officers, she just isn't it. She offers a decent amount of crit damage. On top of that, she also offers 1 second of invincibility every 5 seconds. So theoretically speaking, she's okay. You know, she's not terrible, but at the same time, it's the same with all of them, guys. There are much better officers out there, especially fighter specific officers. Again, she has some skills you could maybe drag, but overall, guys, I personally think that it's not going to be worth awakening her to be an actual officer on your fighter. The next one here, guys, is Winter Huntsman. Again, Winter Huntsman is kind of the same as Lady Justice. I would say overall, like, he's just a bit of a weaker version. You can kind of unlock him for free if you're using the Theater of Conquest store. In that Conquest store, I think you can get 50 statues every L4. It might be a little bit more, actually, thinking about it. I think it also varies depending on, like, if you're in silver or gold or not. It depends on, you can get more of them. But for the fact that, you know, he's basically a free officer and you can use those statues to at least awaken one of his skills, you know, he offers something. I remember back in the day, he used to be one of the best officers on the game. He had the highest coefficient. He had ability to stop enemies in their tracks for 2 seconds. Like, he genuinely was really good back in the day. But, you know, as time goes on, guys, he's now pretty much useless, and you wouldn't have him in your setup because there are much better officers out there. But again, he's going to go in that B tier just because he used to be pretty decent early game. But for now, unfortunately, he has been moved down a little bit. Up next, we have got War Machine. And honestly, guys, War Machine, he deserves an A. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not trying to say he's amazing, but the fact that you can get him for free in the Alliance store, you can work on him pretty quick to get that. He is decent. I mean, he offers a lot of good skills that you could take over. The main one being his special skill, which will reduce load time by 10%. You also have damage. You also have firepower. Like, he offers a decent amount of extra damage. And if you are someone who doesn't have many officers, he is very good to have. Especially, you know, he can work on most units. And with that being said, I think he deserves an A tier. You know, again, as of right now, he's not the strongest. You know, if you had unlimited tokens, he's not someone you would go for. But for early game, 100% he's A tier for that. Maybe even close to S tier early game. But yeah, early game, A tier, 100%, I personally believe. Moving on to Percy. Early game, she's actually like, you know, A to B. But I think overall now, guys, Percy just isn't it anymore. She's going to have to go D, honestly. She offers firepower to your friendly troops. She offers blast damage resist. She offers garrison damage. Overall, as an officer, she has some decent skills to be used for skill training. But as an officer as a whole, it's like you'll never see mid to end game someone using this officer unless they just don't have any officers, right? She's not someone you would ever consider to be on your main lineup if you had your desired officers. So unfortunately, she'd have to go in D tier. She's really not worth it, in my personal opinion. So moving on, we have got Bloody Mary. Now, Bloody Mary, I feel like it's weird, right? Because these officers do provide something, but the reason they're so low down is you had to be there to get them in the event. And if you don't have them, there's absolutely no way of getting them from then onwards. So that's why they're so low. Early game, you get her completely free from officer missions. You can earn her tokens. It obviously takes some time, but eventually you will get her for free. So when you're unlocking her tokens, definitely focus on getting her damage skill first. That 15% damage can go on to absolutely any unit, so it's very, very good to have. So overall, guys, I think she is a decent officer for the fact, one, she's completely free. Two, she has some okay skills that you can transfer. Again, she wouldn't be on your end lineup, but early game, 100% decent officer to have. The Witcher, I actually thought the Witcher was a fighter main. She's actually going to be high A tier. So the Witcher, I only found out literally today, guys, that the Witcher is actually versatile. I genuinely thought she was just a fighter officer. So the Witcher offers a load of protection. She's basically just pure protection skill. You wouldn't really put her on a bomber, because the bomber, to me, I feel like you just want to have as much damage as quick as you can and then get out. Sure, she's still very good. The fact she could protect your bomber to stay alive longer, you know, it could work. But overall, on a fighter, especially if you're running two fighters. Now, if you're running one fighter, she wouldn't be your first pick. But if you are running two fighters, you'd have one offense, one defense. 100% her and Nagarami on a defense fighter. That's just pure protection right there. And honestly, 100% deserving of an A tier when it comes to being on a fighter as a sort of secondary defense officer. And maybe, you never know, if I one day manage to get hold of a second fighter, there might be new officers out by then, but if there isn't, she will be one of the defense officers I choose. Moving on to the second but last officer here, we have got Tiger Marauder, and he goes straight into D tier. Completely useless officer. I mean, the only good thing about him is he has one good skill, which is a damage resist of 15%. Other than that, guys, I'm pretty sure even if you look at WoWs that have every officer awoken, they probably haven't awoken him because he does absolutely nothing for him. He's just not a good officer. I think he's still a Gen 2 officer, but it feels like he came out really late into the game and he's just absolutely useless. Unfortunately, I don't even memorize all of his skills. I know one skill of his, which is the damage resist skill, which is a good skill to have. But overall, he's just not an officer you would ever want on your lineup. I don't think it's just not worth it at all. He's useless. And moving on finally to the last but not least, Miss Vox here. She's deserving of an S tier. I mean, if you look at 85 to 90% of all whales, she's in the lineup, right? So, and the reason for it is she just offers crazy amount of protection to the base. Not only does she offer a lot of base damage resist of 35% when on the field, she offers your troops within one map grid an extra 35%. So for example, when tanking a base, you put her on a unit next to it and tank at the same time, and after 8 seconds your tanking unit's going to get an extra 35% damage resist for free. It's a really good option. When inside the base, she offers one of the highest garrison damage buffs. She also offers crazy protection to the base itself for 30% as well, which is honestly amazing. And overall, guys, I think just as a versatile officer, sure, she isn't exactly a crazy damage officer, but she's just pure damage resist and protection when it comes to not only your base but your units as well. So I think she's very much deserving of an S tier because, as I said, every single WoW pretty much has her in the lineup somewhere. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them will have her just for that pure protection. And I'm genuinely wondering, will we ever see a sort of Vox 2.0, like an improved Vox that gives more? Maybe that's to come in the future. So guys, as the tier lists go, this is going to be all the versatile officers. I think this is the first time we've had like 3 in each. Normally we have loads in S, loads in A, and then the rest of it. But when it comes to versatile, some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. So I'm pretty confident with this tier list. Let me know if you guys think anything different. And as always, guys, I appreciate everyone tuning in. If you reached this part of the video, guys, make sure you hit that like and let me know down below if you agree with this setup. Thank you all. Hope you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next video.